she had changed 100%. She was running out of the house at night. She was telling people that she wanted to be adopted, that she hated her family. It was just crazy. I was beside myself. I had no idea. We'd go back to the doctor, and every time we would see another specialist, and it was nothing. Here, take some antacids. And then at one point we went back to her endocrinologist, and she said, well, you know, sometimes teenagers get tired of having diabetes and they act out. And I said, I really don't think that that's this at all. But she said, I want you to see the in-house psychiatrist or therapist or whatever. And I said, okay, fine. So we come back to do that, and she talks to us for the first session, and then we come back for the second session, and she takes Alexis aside and talks to her by herself. And then I come in the room, and the doctor proceeds to tell me that she believes that her grandfather molested her when she was in Germany, and that's why she's acting out. And she said, if he was in this country, I would have already called the authorities, but since he's in Germany, it's up to you. And I was just, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. And she was telling me, no, nothing happened. And it was just, I had no idea what was going on. It was just insane. And so, of course, after that doctor, it was in the notes that they believed she had been molested, and I was a mother in denial. So every doctor after that saw those notes, and that's what they thought. So then, at this point, I'm like, could it have been the shot? And the doctor said, no, the shot couldn't have done this. Because I'm thinking, what in the world changed?
And she's only had 2, God.
Yeah, and she's had 2. And so they kept telling me, no, it's not, but you have to have the 3rd, otherwise, things might go wrong. So I'm like, all right, so in January of 2007, she got the 3rd shot. Within 2 weeks, she was hospitalized. And she remained hospitalized for 8 solid months. 6 months here at the UNM hospital, and they did tons of tests on her, 2 spinal taps. They took tissue from her leg.
And why was she hospitalized? What was happening?
Because she was throwing up so much, and she wasn't sleeping. And they all kept telling me it's behavioral. It's behavioral. Because at one point, right before she was actually hospitalized, she was put into children's psychiatric. And that was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. They treated her like an animal. She wasn't allowed to talk to anybody else. She couldn't go only up and down the hall. And she was, like I said, she was throwing up at the time. Nobody recognized it as seizures. Nobody knew at that point. And so they gave her a bucket because they thought she was doing it on purpose. And they said, throw up in the bucket and you don't get anything else to eat. Well, she was there for 3 days, and they called me, and they said, we just witnessed something very disturbing. And I said, what's that? And they said, she's eating the vomit out of her bucket, because she was so hungry, but nothing was staying down. And I was just blown away. And so then they wanted to put her on Risperdal or something, some other drug. They were pumping her off all kinds of drugs. And then the next day they called and said, she's okay to come home. And I picked her up. She threw up in the car on the way home. She ate and threw up everything. And that night she didn't sleep, so I'm calling the doctors begging, please, help. And they wouldn't do anything, and so finally I called her pediatrician, and she pulled some strings and got her into a different children's psychiatric unit, which was wonderful. They were really, really good. And from there, she was admitted into the hospital, where they were doing all kinds of tests trying to figure it out. Upon the first EEG, that's when they discovered she was having seizures, which nobody had ever mentioned anything about that before, because they didn't look like your typical seizure.
We hear this a lot with the garda seal seizures.
Yeah, see, she's kind of having a little one right now.
And they change all the time from severity. They can be, very small ones like this to full-on grand mal seizures. They, and there's no pattern to them, rhyme or reason. They can happen. She can have up to 20 a day, over 20 a day. So.
Oh, cutie.
Cutest baby ever.
She is squirting the dogs because it was funny.
I'll leave them there for you, Josh, yeah?